Hello and welcome. My name is Danielle,
I'm Rada.
and we are here today to follow up on our last conversation on New Year's. We had a beautiful healing session and an oracle reading by none other Rada, and it was a beautiful experience. And we thought it would be just really fun to do some informal popcorn shares as to what some spiritual terms might mean and how you can use them in your daily life. And so, to kind of piggyback off of what happened last time, today's term is the anomalies of healing. And we realize that some of these topics can be a little unusual, maybe triggering or offensive in some cases, but nonetheless, that's not our ultimate goal. It's just to raise awareness and to help you further understand the type of work and our true intention to help shift and shape you and understand what is sacred and the truth and understanding of what some of these terms mean. So, welcome, Rada. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. Happy New Year's, everyone. I hope you're having a great start to this new year. Ooh, and a little bug just like flew by. Okay, that's like anomaly of healing. So let's
Yes.
jump right in because it's such a big deal. When it comes to healing, um, I've been doing it for a very long time, and the strangest things will happen during a healing. I used to do it in Hollywood or Hollywood Hills, and when I would get to something that was really a deep subject, something where people had a lot of trauma, but they were really scared about releasing it or talking about it, it always happened. Always. A helicopter would fly over and be like, it would just like energetically kind of disrupt it, but it wasn't really disrupting it. It was actually actualizing the intensity of the emotion. Or like it would be totally quiet all week, and then the moment I had the deepest session, my neighbors decided they wanted to mow their lawn, but like as soon as they're talking about their most like heartfelt stuff, all of a sudden you hear like someone whacking weeds and making all kinds of ruckus. So that's
Mm,
one anomaly, is like outside forces. And why I think that happens, you guys, is because when we have so much trauma and so much that is clearing, it causes our outer world to shift.
yeah.
Shifting. It's also we're purging out that stuff, right? It's manifesting us, and it's overwhelming for us. And I don't think people understand how powerful they are, because if they did, you would understand how you affect things like in a
Mhm.
way bigger way than you ever imagine. You affect the whole energy around you. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Danielle.
Yeah, it's actually, I love how you're explaining this. It's such a frequency shifter interference, and it's like you've got your frequency, the outside source has their frequency, and it's like, boom, we're like clashing, like, but it's not, it doesn't have to be bad, it's just how you perceive it. It's all about internal shifting because the truth is we are very powerful beings, and it can be very taxing on the body for sure. Even mentally, it could throw you off your rocker. But at the end of the day, support's very important, and that's why community is really important to have. Um, and it's really interesting because I look back on our New Year's clearing and reading, and I mean, I honestly didn't realize what we were going to be clearing. I was not prepared for that. I was so
Spontaneous, guys, totally spontaneous. Like I
oh
I had the
goodness.
cards on my
Yeah,
I wasn't even planning on reading, and
yeah.
I'm also sorry, because when I read, I had it in my hand here, and I was like shuffling the cards. If I do it again, I've never done it before so I'll try to shuffle them like higher so you can see. But everything we did was sort of spontaneous, and so Danielle had an experience where she was shifting a lot, but for us, that is not abnormal. That's totally like how it is behind the scenes. Like the whole point of healing is we get to the deepest core root, okay? The deepest root. It's kind of like the lotus root. The lotus grows in the mud and it has tentacles all the way down. It's the deepest root. And we go to those deepest roots, and that's how we do healing is we start to pull. And not the lotus because we like the lotus, but we pull the roots of the issue and we pull it all the way out. We
Right.
pull it out and then we release it and send it back to source. But through the process, there are reactions. Like sometimes, see what happens is most of the times clients take all their courage to come to us. And so I totally applaud our clients for coming. But at the same time, it's still really scary to talk about certain things. It's really scary to like go deep. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are so afraid to go deeper. And so what happens is a healer, we're very soft in our heart, but we have a huge, courageous heart. And we will face darkness, we'll face the truth, we can hold space, really massive space for truth that most people can't because they're afraid to. So what happens is there's a physical reaction for us as the healer. We can burp, guys. We can burp when we're doing major clearing. Sometimes you're clearing. It's not that it's coming really from you. It's that the collective or whatnot, or the person you're working with, the energy is so dense and so tight. It needs a release. It has to release. So
Yeah.
the body is a tool of the divine. And every time we go into healing, we always put ourselves in the heart of the creator, per Lemurian code healing. And we really do these protocols that protect us, that bring the pillar of light. And so what happens is we have more freedom because we do our protective shielding, all the things we need to do to make sure we're like, because entities come out of people, entities come out of situations that are really dark and nefarious. And we did talk a lot about that. There are so many entities on Earth right now. Like the whole Earth has never had this many entities ever. Like most people are bombarded with not just one entity, but hundreds or even thousands or even hundreds of thousands. So it's beyond, it's like out of control. So the other night when we were doing that clearing, Danielle, she's an incredible channel and healer. So she was purging through like
Yeah.
the intention is not just to like give the information and then be like, bye, see ya. Like our intention is always for the highest and best good of all. Because if it's not, what's the point? Like we came here as star seeds to be part of this incredible shift going on Earth where the darkest of the dark is here. Everyone's covered with entities, and the problem is most people are covered in entities that they don't even know it. And they're so the more entities they have, the more like arrogant they are, because it's not really them, it's actually the entities are talking shiznick about any situation. So why
Yeah.
why is everybody so confrontational these days? Everyone's quick to be like, oh no, you're not they want to like diminish, but why? You have to ask yourself that, because the entities that are unleashed on this earth, I mean, 1-800 CERN, like Google that stuff. Your own research as we are learning, people, things that have been called conspiracy theories are actually truth bombs, and most people aren't ready for that level of truth. So that's why, like, when we do a healing like we did the other night, Danielle was really releasing for us. Like she was holding massive space, and that's what we do. So how did that feel for you when you were, clearing for all?
Yeah. It was interesting because I like right now I feel great because I've had rest.
Yeah.
But that night I was like at the peak of my week and I was exhausted and I wasn't, complaining or trying to get sympathy. It was just like, hey, like I want you to know I'm just simply exhausted and I wasn't expecting to be quote unquote purging. And it was tense. Like, I don't know if you guys knew this. Like, when I stepped aside, I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Like, I literally had to go throw it up because when we were clearing, it was like I was yawning so much and it builds up through my lower body and it's almost like it purges out burps a lot of the times. And so,
Yeah, it has
yeah, it's weird. It always comes from deep in my stomach and it goes boop. And so, because I was yawning so much, I wasn't like burping it. And I don't know if I was holding it back, but I was like feeling sick to my stomach. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we were doing a global clearing. It wasn't even just,
I'm
you, me, and the viewers to watch this. This
it,
is like
it's heavy because
global.
what happens is when we make the intentions of doing a clearing, we're basically telling creator, yeah, we'll be the conduits. Like it's gonna like the heavy density comes through us. And then it
Yeah.
has to find its way out because we are the conduits. So it has to come through us. I mean, it's not that we want it to, but that's just a byproduct of being that open because
Right.
the energy has to come through. It's like a tornado and it has to come through and anchor in through something physical with
Yeah.
the intention, and then it can go
Yeah.
out, but it has to have an outlet. So that's what people don't understand. Like that's why shamans, guys, I'm just gonna tell you this really quickly, and don't be scared, even Danielle, because that's I come from a lineage of shamans, right? So shamans go through a lot of near-death experiences. It's almost part of their path because they have to go through a lot of death and rebirth. So while they're alive, they will go through a cathartic death process because they are pulling darkness out of people, pulling out karma out of people, pulling out this darkness that most people wouldn't touch with a 20,000-foot pole. And then they're giving it back to source. But what happens a lot of times is shamans end up going through this cathartic process of death and they die and it's just maybe it's even for like a day, but they go through near, like they're this close to death. And it's not something that I want to make like this is a noble, incredible thing. It's just the way that shamans have pulled poison out of people. And don't worry, Danielle, don't stress, but for them, because it's even deeper the way they do it, what
Hmm.
happens is their lifespan shortens because they are the light pulling the dark out. They're extracting it. It is a physical, mental, emotional process where they're actually touching and they're wrestling with the dark and they're pulling it out. And then but in the process, because so intense, they experience that cathartic death of themselves and they have to be rebirthed again. So, I mean, that's just the way that I know a lot of people are like, well, that's not how it should be anymore. And that's true. There is some truth in that, but truth is relative. And the way that healers work is that we detect, we're programmers of your auric field, of your energy. We are the programmers. Therefore, when we see a program, a dark program that's running through someone, we have to go in. We can't not go in. We can also ask for help with creator. We always do. And that's why we don't have that shamanic death. But I mean, personally, like, I don't know about you, Danielle, but I've gone through a lot of death processes. Like, I have died many times while I've been alive. And it's the strangest thing. And most people be like, what are you even talking about? But you can only understand this if you've been through it. So you were sort of going through that kind of shamanic, like,
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
yeah.
And it did surprise me because I didn't, like, again, I wasn't even expecting that. I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? And I almost told you to stop the recording because it just felt so like, I'm like, is this something I want to share? Like, it could be totally perceived incorrectly, but I thought, you know what, nothing wrong with keeping it real and OG. Like, I'm super authentic, and I figured, why not? Like, who gives a,
Yeah, I mean, who cares? Like,
it
at the end of
is
the
a
day,
valuable, clearing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I like what you're saying about the death and rebirth because it's multiple ways of death and rebirth. You have your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. I mean, I've been close to death physically multiple times. I've emotionally gone through different versions of who I am. That's why I say I'm never the same person I was a year ago, because it's like you go through this death and
From
rebirth.
last week,
Or
like,
last week, it's an expansion of your consciousness. And so you're rebirthing this new version of you. That's why people sometimes, when they reconnect with you, they're like, wow, you've grown so much, or you seem different. It's like, well, of course, I hope so. I mean, I'm not a tree. I mean, I definitely, I want to grow. I'm not like, stagnant. So anyone who's not growing is pretty much chosen to not live this life. Like,
let me just
stagnant.
interject and tell you that that's why a lot of people are going through a death process. And
Mm,
I know this is such a sensitive subject, and it even is sensitive to me, believe it or not, because I have a lot of feelings about what's going on.
yeah.
It's really hard because I'm super emotional and I get super attached to people, and we all do. Just the presence of somebody can really just uplift your life, even if
Mhm.
you don't see them, you know?
Yeah.
And so, excuse me, I'm getting all emotional. Um, so what I'm trying to say is that it's it's a very challenging time where we're learning to deal with the fact that many people are choosing to leave because they can't purge that out. And
Yeah.
that's what it takes is we have to purge the darkness, people. That is, I'm not begging you, I'm telling you,
Mhm.
because there's a huge difference. I will never beg you because it's your choice. If you choose to stay stagnant and not purge this out, that means you're there is an agreement that if there's more heavy, say like we're up to here in darkness, we won't be able to live in the coming years, and the dark thinks they got it all under control, or they're panicking and wishing they have it all under control. But the truth is they don't, and their frequency cannot handle this energy that is coming in. These are beyond the galactic wars that we're in. This is a cosmic time in the universe, a time, as I said before, we were promised to be the golden age.
Mhm.
Therefore, the light coming in is hardcore. For many
Yeah.
years, I have been blasted, and I still say, "Oh, this is like the densities in my body," because it doesn't matter. Your lineage carries densities, right? All of our families have been through war. They've all killed people, they've all taken land, they have done things that are unspeakable. But we have to carry that burden. You're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would we have to carry the burden? Well, in shamanism, you take on 7 generations of your family karma. So if your great 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 grandfather was, Mr. Dominatrix, and he wanted to go out and like conquer everybody, kill people, murder, rape, all that all that stuff that's involved. And he was a high star captain, and he had the accolades, but he caused a lot of harm. There are debts to pay. Okay, there are many, and so right now it's pay time. Everybody has to pay. That's why we have immense suffering on this earth, because of our ancestors. But that is why we do the healing, because we can clear that karma. It is our birthright to do so. But again, it takes a certain amount of courage. It takes a certain amount of courage. You have to be able to see. If you're afraid to look at the truth, you're not going to be able to handle this. And many people are afraid of the truth. So they're going to skedaddle
Yeah.
out of here. Bye. They're out of here. They're not going to be able to handle the frequencies. The only way we can stay here is if we have to like drop these heavy frequencies. And that's why Danielle and I have committed to doing monthly clearings with, spinning goddess, which is basically
Mhm.
pendulum clearing, commands, clearings, and downloads. What did we say today? Shift and clear? Shift and clear.
And clear, like I was kind of joking because it reminds me of like Legally Blonde where she's like bend and step. It's like shift and clear. But
Clear.
here's the thing, guys. Like I kind of want to make something clear about our spinning goddess because I feel that there's a bit of a limiting belief about what around what we do. Um, we spin for everyone, men, women, children. It doesn't matter who you are. We spin for humanity. So if you think that because it's called Spinning Goddess and you're a man and it's not for you, you're completely wrong. Please, I welcome everybody to this type of healing. It's for everyone, men, women, children, everybody across the board. And please, I would love to see you guys join us. And I had a few friends that were men kind of reach out to me. Is this something I could do and join? I'm like, of course. I'm not saying it's a sisterhood circle. I'm saying this
Yeah.
is spinning because this is something that
Danielle and I are the goddesses, and we're spinning for you.
yeah, we're the goddesses spinning for you.
That's why if we're spinning,
Yeah.
don't be offended. That just means you had a major block.
Yeah. So I just make that clear. So if you're a man, please join us. I mean, I do intend to share this with everyone always. It's never gonna be limited. So join us, join us, join us. And every month, once a month, we do this. We also offer it privately, so you can reach out to us directly, have Rada do a session, me do a session. It's totally unlimited what you can do for your healing. And I have to admit, like it's actually constantly surprising me between our feedback and the comments that we get from people. I mean, I do offer services even on Fiverr, and people I don't even know will reach out to me. They're like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, I mean, I don't know. It's a healing. Like, how do you explain something that you just do? Like, you can't. You could explain it logically, but like just
Yeah.
let me be the conduit, but also like it's a work that you can do personally. You can learn how to do these things. Rada teaches you how to spin. We have, there's a lot of things online. You can learn from us directly online. I mean, there's so many tools out there to help you
I
clear.
suggest getting the healing at this stage in the game. It is better to just get the sessions. Danielle does sessions that are super affordable. I will be sure to link her Etsy shop. I totally forgot to do it last time. But,
That's okay.
no,
Or you
totally.
can
You should get it.
directly.
You
That's
should definitely book a session with her because the one-to-one sessions are personalized to you. And that's the thing people don't realize. Like, if you do meditation, that's really nice, but there's something about pinpointing your it's like kind of like your karma, your lineage. There is something particular in your lineage that is ready to clear. And if you
Mhm.
say yes, you can clear so much in one lifetime, you guys. I don't care what you think you came from. We've all come from different things. I have like a strong German lineage in me too. So we definitely have like, I mean, I'm multicultural, so I have like the best of all worlds, right? So I've had to clear like whoa on this side and whoa on that side. It's been a lot. But for many years, I would joke and I said, you know what? I feel like a house cleaner. Like all I do is scrub and clean and clear my lineage. But I do notice it. I notice it in my family members. I notice how much happier they are, how much more they shine, how much more open they are, how much more their heart is like open. Guys, it's worth it. It is so worth it. I've worked so hard to help elevate my lineage. And it's taken a dozen years and counting, and I'm still at it. It's every single day I do something, but I see it in my father. I see it in my lineage, guys. It really shows up, and you really go, wow, that wouldn't have been possible before if I hadn't done this, like that kind of, relationships start to open up. Like
Yeah.
there where there was so much pain and so much tension, things start to clear.
Yeah, shifts are definitely made. It might take a little time, and that's okay. I mean, everybody has, you know, there's a lot to work on. It's not just like a one and done. I do this every day. I do it with Rod or with myself. And clearings are different every day. Some days I yawn more, some days I burp, some days I go extreme. I think New Year's was because it was going to be big. I just unknowingly was like, oh, okay, let's do this. And then I'm like,
Oh,
oh
I'm
no, like that was the first time I've ever experienced something so extreme. And I realized, wow, this stuff is like extremely powerful. And I know it's going to help people even if you watch it after you watch this episode and you're like, what is she talking about? I'm going to click on that video and you're going to understand what I'm speaking on. So this is something that we take very seriously personally together as working with each other as two different healers. And thank you, Rada, for even teaching this modality to me. I mean, I've learned so much through you and Maya, and it's because of you that I learned how to do this. And this is something that I don't know, I just feel like a lot of us, we're just ready. Like I remember back in the beginning when I was having my personal awakening, I was afraid, but I would go down that rabbit hole and then I realized, oh my gosh, like it's just better to know the truth
yeah,
and have no fear about it. And so I think as healers, we go through a lot of different phases and we might not show you these phases. We may not talk about it for years after we've gone
we
through it.
we may never talk about, like,
Never
there's
talk.
so many
Yeah.
cathartic, like, it's week by week. That's how I see it. Like, I feel like I'm going on a marathon for years, over a decade, since 2012,
Yeah.
2011, 2010,
Yeah.
like, and then sometimes I'd fall, but I could feel it. I always say life's like a video game,
Ah,
levels and levels, but you have to work through your karma. Nobody tells you that. And the
yeah.
thing about the dark is they will offload their karma to you. Um, there is this thing called disclosure. So they have to disclose everything they're doing. And if you don't say no, it's consensual. I mean,
Right.
that means like those fantasy movies where they're showing you they're doing this, they're showing you they're doing that. And if you're like, that's not right, then they're like, well, then it's right for you, like that's like how it is. So you have to say, like, I always before I watch a movie, I always zip up, first of all, put myself in the heart of the creator. I say my mantra because I'm not going to get those downloads. I'm not going to get mind controlled, guys. I've been mind controlled like for a vast portion of my life. I know how it's like a thick fog,
Mm,
and I'm done. I'm not interested in being downloaded, and I'm completely aware that every single thing I listen to, consume, and watch is downloading me, whether I like it or not. It's a download. Music's a download. It's a satanic download, mostly because all you hear is this crap music. So it's
true.
not divine, it's not of the light, it's completely made to put you off your tracks. So if I watch something, I go, okay, this is research. This is like, research. And I was a producer on a movie, and I worked with Roddy Piper, who is, you know, um really well known. He passed away, unfortunately, but he did some incredible work in exposure, and I always say that his movie was a documentary, you
Yeah.
know? So when you
Yeah.
realize that most movies are documentary, it does change your perspective.
Yes. I like how you brought that up because I think sometimes people just dismiss things because they're scared, and there's honestly that's what is the agenda, just to put you into fear because it's a freak everything this is a frequency war, guys. Let's just be real. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm not. I mean, this is something a lot of people are talking about. So it is
Or-
what it is. The sooner you could just accept the truth and, realize, okay, I gotta take leadership, ownership for who I am. They talk a lot in this industry of, spirituality about being sovereign. And that's the thing. You really want that true sovereignty. And the more you're able to just accept the truth, but also like, okay, what can I do to, rise above that, but also help others? That's where the real excitement comes in because then you're like living a purpose, finding a mission and on a higher path. And it's not about the money, guys. It's like, just do you. But if this isn't the authentic, find a different form of healing that would work best for you. I'm constantly talking
don't
about
hate us 'cause
version.
yeah, exactly. It's like, don't hate. Like people ask, why do you charge for healing? Honey, I am not charging for the healing. My time. My time is something I'll never get back. And I'm not gonna let you steal it. So
Valid.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
charge for time. I don't charge for the healing. The healing is free because that's creator, okay? But if you want me to facilitate it, boom.
Yeah.
So anyways, the movie is called They Live, and I highly suggest that you watch it because it's a documentary. And, I was very lucky to work with, Roddy Piper, and he was one of the most humble beings ever. And he did a huge disclosure. But again, people don't think that that was like a disclosure. They're like, oh, that's a crazy movie. It's a classic. But they would never say, whoa, is like that real? Basically, in the movie, you have to watch it because it's such a good movie. But there are beings that are hiding behind human facades, but they're not humans. And you want to know why most of the violent acts on earth are committed by non humans. Boom, I said it. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. Anyways, a lot, it is what it is. You don't even have to believe me. You don't even have to care. They, every single sacrifice has to be done for the dark. Okay. I'm not going to say the name because I'm not going to empower that or, get more strikes on YouTube. But the point is, but the
Well,
point,
I'm just happy because we're infinite beings. And so at the end of the day, as long as you keep your soul, we're good to go, guys. I mean,
exactly.
we're gonna perish one day. So you might as well live your best life. They say live your best life, right?
But living
So
a
it's
life doesn't mean being reckless and like,
oh no, I didn't mean that either.
yeah, yeah.
Meaning like be true to yourself, be true to your heart. Like don't let outsiders, affect your the love that you have in your heart and how you're able to, extend that out into the world.
Exactly. Like live your life. People will hate you if you tell the truth. That is a fact. I've had clients who begged for information about things. I gave it to them and they were so upset because they actually lied to me and to themselves. They didn't want the truth. They just wanted me to, sugarcoat, just be like, yeah, ooh, ooh, ah, and I do a little bit of that in my sessions because I get into this Kuan Yin mode and it's
Mhm.
really weird because I always say, like, whenever I do a session, I usually feel myself check myself at the door. And especially when I had my healing room, I literally had this one room in Hollywood Hills and it was only used for healing. The vibration was so high. Every single
Mhm.
time I walked in that room, my ego, my persona as Rada, boom, out the door. And I did feel that's when I really felt like the Kuan Yin come into me. And I was able to be with people through their darkest moments and hold that space without judgment, without any kind of yeah, judgment. Because like we all have our own personalities, we all have our quirks, our judgments as our personalities. Again, this is our personalities. But as a healer, you know how to check that at the door. So this personality that I have right now, I check it. I check
Yeah.
it. When I do my healings, it's a completely different, I clear myself. I become a more of a vessel. I go in, I tune in, I rise higher. It's a
Yeah.
completely different thing. So the personality that you see here won't be there. This is a personality, this is the ego, this is who I am in this forward facing reality. But when I go into a healing session, that just goes back, I pull back, and then this Kuan Yin energy enters. And and it's been a really beautiful thing because there was actually a relief in letting go of this persona, right? But there was a relief in not having to carry that forward. There was a relief in being empty. And
Hmm.
that's something that I've experienced from the healings because I don't carry forward the baggage of Rada, right? Because we all have our stuff, our my preferences, my likes, my dislikes, my opinions are all gone, and that's a relief. It's a
Mhm.
huge relief. It's a beautiful feeling of letting go. And
I
I think,
feel
go ahead.
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just thinking, like, I feel like it has a lot to do with like being of service as a like when
Yeah,
you're truly tuned into your heart, everything's like tuned in your mind, body, and spirit, and it's almost like you're so focused because your intention is strong, and you're like, I'm literally a vessel, and it's something you just like you surrender, you let go, but it's something you almost like have no control, like it just like I said, it is what it is, and you're like, okay, here I am as a vessel. Not that something can come in and infiltrate. That's not what I'm saying, because you're obviously in a place of awareness, but it's almost it from at least for me, it's a very like a place from the heart that is of service. And so I'm not thinking of anything but what I'm actually doing. And it's
yeah,
very focused and everything is intention, intention, intention. So if you start off a healing session with a higher vibrational frequency, that's going to be so pungent. And I feel like when we kicked off the new year, you and I were like, zzz, we were so high that night. We're like, at least for me, I was feeling so like grateful. Just in my own personal life, like some of the things I've been going through. And I'm like, I was like vibing high. So I could see why, Creator decided to take that opportunity to do what he did. Or he should, I don't know, Creator. I always feel weird saying he, it's the program. But you know what I mean. Yeah. So this is such an interesting topic to me, Rada. I love how you brought in shamanism, because sometimes when we clear, because I wasn't raised in that environment, like I think, oh my gosh, like this reminds me so much of like a shamanistic approach. But it's like, we are so in tune more than we realize, because it's all subconscious, just like our programs, our beliefs and everything. It's a beautiful
it goes.
blooming
It
of
is.
our
It is. It's drop. What it is it's dropping us in.
mm,
And when you drop in to that space, there is this whole, it feels like it just holds you, and you can
mm,
soften, you can relax, you can sort of move, like breathe. It's so much more open because in our day-to-day lives, our egos, there's so much constriction, so much like defending of who we are. And that's hard, I don't wanna have to defend myself, love it or not. My family knows what I do.
mhm.
Some of my family are very, very religious because that was part of the indoctrination process. All
Yeah.
shamans were targeted, all shamans were eliminated. Why? If you can kill all the shamans of this world, there will be no spiritual leaders. Without spiritual leaders, it's rogue, and that's where we are now. So there is, that's exactly where we are now. So the
I'm
future,
not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing because it's the only way I can like respond, because it's like, oh, you're laughing at a
I laugh a lot too, guys, because it helps me. It helps lighten me up.
stress because you're like,
Actually, Don Pedro, who is my shamanic ancestor, he still talks to me, works with me. He just says, laugh, like laugh at situations, like laugh. If you can laugh, you're actually transmuting the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
transmuting. The energy's begging to be transmuted. It's begging to shift. And it
Yeah.
is so stuck and so constipated on this earth right now. The laughter is our freedom, you know?
Even sometimes Rana will be like, you're like, we have to breathe, let it out, There's a lot of ways you can release stuck energy, and it's kind
I
of
mean,
funny.
bro. So let's do it. Let's do it. Okay,
Yeah,
guys,
good.
are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to rock and roll? Because we're gonna do a shamanic breathe in. We're gonna release. So yeah, Don Pedro taught
Mention
me
them.
a lot of stuff, and one of the things is like you take the deepest breath all the way down to like if you have a yoni, all the way down to your yoni. If you have something else, wherever it is, you breathe all the way down, deepest breath, and then hold it for a second. And then you're gonna sigh it out.
Ah. Okay, that's me just being silly.
You just have to let it go. Makes you want to yawn. And when you yawn, you're releasing more. When you start to feel that, you can rub right here. And if you feel need to, you can just tap on your thymus. It's safe to be here. With all the trauma going on, some part of us feels it's not safe to be here. So many people are leaving, so much disasters going on. So coming back to the thymus right here, right above your breastbone, tapping.
Yeah, I always feel like a lot of pressure here.
Hmm. If I feel like as a young when I was younger in my teens, because of certain things like abduction, I used to leave my body a lot. Okay. I had a hard time for many or most of my life being in my body. I've had to find ways to anchor myself back here because I'm here. I'm not dead. I'm still here. So in the meantime, I'm going to find my way back into my body. And you have to do the same
Yeah.
because we're here. We're here for a reason, not for a season. I had to grow into this stuff. We all did. I'm a triple Pisces. I'm a late bloomer, and you might be the same. And that means like we went through deep traumas, deep stuff. And because of that, the feeling of wanting to leave this earth, leave this body, leave this disaster. And then we learned we had to keep going and doing the work and doing the work and coming back and doing the work. And I've come back to learning. I wish I was like a weightlifter because they do the work every day physically. I'd have a super Rico Suave body. But I do the work that's in interior. So the karmic lineage stuff, whatever the densities, I'm always collapsing timelines, clearing, healing, purifying, activating. It goes on and on and on. But do I get sick of it? No, I don't, because I know that it's a gift. And like most 99.9% of the family had this gift and they just threw it to the ground, stomped on it, took out a cross and said, demon, demons out, because they were indoctrinated. They were indoctrinated, especially like in the Philippines, where my mother's lineage comes from, where Don Pedro comes from. A lot of big indoctrinations, a lot of trauma, a lot of like our land stolen, our identity stolen, our voice stolen, our life stolen. And so identity issues, identity crisis, and then beaten to death with a Bible. And although I am a huge fan of Yeshua, and Yeshua is one of my guides, by all means, yes. But do I have to do all of the Bible thumping that everybody does? N to the O. No, I'm not, because I know what that Bible thumping has done to my lineage. It's made them
Mhm.
homeless. It's stolen their land, literally. And my mother's told me stories about what happened to her as a child, where she had guns, armed armed guards from the Catholic Church come over and say, "We own this land now. You have to get out in, few hours." And they just had to take whatever they could take on their back. Hundreds, if not thousands of people displaced. You know, this is gnarly stuff. You have to remember one thing, that all religion is created by man, that the divine source creator of all that is, and I believe in the divine source creator of all that is, and Yeshua, that is that you're not going to find that maybe in those books, because it was the perpetrators, the rapists, the killers, the thieves, the thugs that made those books. So, if you want to find the truth, you're gonna have to look within. You're gonna have to look straight to source, and find it. It's always there and always available to you. Love and support is available to you. But many times, many of our ancestors were beaten with that book. They were beaten to the point where they either stopped believing in the creator, or they were so scared that they when everybody's a sinner, it's like, it's so crazy. That's mind control, people. Mind control. That is mind control at the very top tier. Those are thugs. Those are criminals. People who really believe in the creator don't rape children. Sorry, shouldn't have said that. Okay, hopefully YouTube won't get mad at me, but they're not going to do that stuff, dirty business. They're not going to be the thing with a capital P and ends with the O, okay? Um, they're going to be of service. How can I serve this community? How can I serve these families? How can I make them more prosperous? How can I connect them back to source? Not how can I take? How can I extract? How can I steal innocence? That is inversion, people.
Yeah,
Inversion 101. You just learned about it.
right. Yeah, like more in integrity, true integrity.
Having integrity. All those clowns who pretend that they're so great wearing their collars are so full of ish. They have stolen your children's innocence. And if you continue to let that happen, I'm so sorry that you have severe mind control. That is also karma. By you allowing that to happen, that's karma on you and your lineage. So if you really want to be in integrity, you got to go deeper. That means no fear. Look at the truth. Look at what's going on. Putting your head underneath the sand is only going to destroy you, because people that do that, they can't exist here on earth anymore. The light's too bright. If you refuse the truth, and if you only want lies, see you later, because that's what's happening. There is a purge going on, but it's not the one that you think. It's not the thumpers of the book that was made by more pedo criminals. What's really going on is that if you have the courage to be with the truth, look at the truth, and deal with the truth, you might be here to help cultivate new earth. Bottom
Yes. Oh.
line.
Okay, well, this has been so fun. I like how we went from, talking about healing to this, because it's all tied, guys. Everything's
Exciting.
all tied together. So we're here for you. We are, more than happy to work with you one-on-one, or just join us for the group healing. Actually, that would be the best way to go if you just want to get a taster. Totally affordable, and you get two healers in one, setting, and it's actually pretty fun. We do
Then,
set hold a really nice space for you. And clearing will be different for everyone. You might even feel what we feel. You might be burping, coughing, throwing up. Who knows? Like we all have bodies that need to be purging out a lot of crap that is just not natural. So,
oh yeah, hot and cold too. You might feel shivers of cold.
yeah.
You might feel heat coming out of you, like you're bursting in flames. But don't fear. It everything. I just say breathe through it. If you can breathe, which you're doing now, then you'll be perfectly fine. Because all you have to do is
Well, it's funny too. Like before we even started this, my nose started running, and I'm like, okay, the clearing, here we go. And it wasn't running before. So just
anomalies.
random
Well, thank you
guys,
so much for
hot.
joining us. I know that I go off sometimes, but that's just because I'm passionate. My wish is for
Mhm.
for all of humanity. My wish is that people will awaken. And I'm not here to
Yeah.
tell them what to think, how to think. I'm only here to offer support and love. And sometimes I say things that are offensive simply because they have to be said. Don't shoot the messenger. I am not the one. Look,
Is
I'm only the one using my mouth to speak the truth. If that offends you, look behind me. I mean, look behind me on earth because there's many people, continuing the lies, the propaganda. And if that makes you feel comfortable and safe, then bless your heart. But until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Much love and blessings to you all. Mwah!